Good evening, folks. I'd like to welcome you here to tonight. You're going to hear about our district-wide improvement recommendations, which will be a capital project and an energy performance contract. This is spearheaded by our facilities committee, which we'll get into here in a second. So just to break down what you're going to hear about tonight is some B&G progress from the last 3 years, some acknowledgments that we'll go through. Then we'll break down the financial support of the bond and how that works. Then we'll lead right into our capital project scope and the timeline of how that breaks down as well. And then lastly, we'll get into the energy performance contract, is also known as the EPC. So here's some of our buildings and grounds progress over the last 3 years. When I first started here at the school, we had to attack a couple of the gyms that needed some upgrades. As you can see on the pictures to the right, that's our elementary big gym is what we call it, 3rd through 5th graders. We started, basically from top to bottom in that gym with the roof. There was a bunch of roof repairs that we had to take on, some retrofit kits to the drains. Then we started working our way right down to the floor with lighting, and then all the acoustic panels. We drove that into a new audio and sound system for the kids to have some of their projects and some things that they would do besides using the auditorium. Which then, our bleachers that are there in that school are original to the 97 upgrades. Bleachers can be expensive, so we didn't eat up the bleachers with the funds that were available. So we just changed all the modulars, which is the seating, and we did a bunch of preventative maintenance to the hardware and undercarriage of the bleachers. Next, we attacked the floor, which we added all new logos and new lines for some of the different sports that the gym teachers use, which is some volleyball lines and some new lines that they didn't have prior to that. Next project that we undertook was upgrades to the high school gym. The hoops there were original to 1969 to the high school. We remodeled all those. We added some pads to the north and south end of the high school gym, which were not there previously. Some shot clocks were added, and that was approximately about a $100,000 project. Most of these projects were all within grant money or within the general fund prior to any capital project. There was a bunch of flooring done on both campuses in the high school, junior high, and the elementary. There were some classrooms that really needed some flooring upgrades, whether they were rugs or tile, VCT. Conference room was also upgraded within that, and both faculty rooms within both campuses. There were some more athletic upgrades that we took on in the last 3 years here. Interior and exterior batting cages. Our junior high now has a batting cage, and we replaced the one in the senior high, and also added 2 exterior batting cages for the kids outside. There was a bunch of equipment, within the buildings and grounds department, some trucks, some golf carts. We upgraded our salt spreaders on both trucks. They're now to a poly-made salt spreader, which will never rust. There's a bunch of janitorial equipment over the last 3 years, buffers and floor machines and things of that nature. Our cameras is a big undertaking. It's very costly. A lot of that stuff will be eaten up with the Smart Schools project, which is something that you'll hear about in future board meeting. I believe it's next month now. It's set. That we did do about $20,000 so far, which was the heartbeat of the camera, is the software. We brought all of our existing cameras within the system. We did have some addings of some blind spots. During our assessments of the cameras, we noticed that there's a lot of areas that we can remove some cameras, which will save the district money with licensing, and add dual head cameras, which will be able to get a north and south end of a hallway or a corridor, and will save the district money with removing some licenses. So like I said, most of that will be eaten up with the 1.7 Smart Schools bond, which is in the near future. Another project that we've done here is HVAC's 1997 wing. The 97 wing is one of a few areas on both campuses that do not have air conditioning. It's approximately about 20 classrooms in our cafeteria area. So this project did go out to the taxpayers 2 years ago. Unfortunately, once it was approved, the material lists were so high that we couldn't complete all 20 classrooms, but we were able to do about half of them. So 12 of those classrooms were done. We can call that phase one of the 97 air conditioning project. So hopefully within the next year or so, or next couple of years, we can attack the other side, and then we can say that all of our classroom space and areas of both campuses have air conditioning. Another project is our cafeteria seating, which you all can see here now. This was another thing that was upgraded. It was a great idea by Dr. Pennyman. It helps our students feel more comfortable within the cafeteria area and just feel more part of a family here at the school. Electric vehicle charging stations, as we're converting to a lot of electric vehicles nowadays, we thought it was good for the public to be able to use our stations here. We do offer a discounted rate to our employees per kilowatt hour. And then lastly, another project that we undertook was some sidewalks at the elementary school. There was a sidewalk was just not existing coming out of a fire exit of the small gym. We had placed in a new one, and then one outside of our playground that connects both playgrounds. So obviously a lot of these projects don't happen without some of these key stakeholders involved. So just as we're here tonight, I'd like to just have a couple thank yous. Our facilities committee, which plays a big part of this, is Dr. Pennyman, Ms. Jones, Mr. Lewis, and Ms. Gustafson. They're all board members currently on the board. Tabitha Brash, who is our senior clerk in the Buildings and Grounds Department, completes the facilities committee, and then obviously the principals and the athletic director on a daily basis. Our Buildings and Grounds staff and maintenance staff, they really don't get enough credit. They really do try as hard as they can, and they are a vital part of the team here at Hudson City School District. Some more stakeholders that are involved here. You'll hear from tonight Mr. Sharkey, who's a district architect. He's been for a long time, approximately 30 years or so. Jason Swartz, who is our financial partner of the district, he will speak to you about the bond and how that works, the debt that we currently have versus the debt that we'll be undertaking with the capital project as long as everything passes. Ms. Christine Shale, fortunately she's not here tonight, but she's our bond counsel. Justin Benoit, Michael Carson, they're from Energia. They are the engineers that are undertaking the EPC, which is the energy performance contract, along with Mr. Sanborn and Mr. Moran, who is the escrow that was picked of Johnson Controls that will work with us to save energy and install new equipment here to save the district some money. Okay, so with that said, I'll let Jason, who is actually virtual, step in, and he'll talk about the bond and how that works and how we move forward with that.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. So you can see on the page here, one of the places that we start when we look at capital project planning from a financial standpoint with all our districts is we look at kind of the picture of your existing debt to see what opportunities are there, and that is one thing with that facilities group that Tyler just went through. We looked at timing for a project. You can see what's on the screen right now is the district's existing debt for their previous capital projects. And what we really focus in on is the far right-hand column, that local share. That's really the piece of the debt that the local taxpayers are picking up. So we have debt service, and then we get building it back from the state. What's left is what we call local share. And you can see in 2030, right next to that green highlighting, there's a decrease in that local share from some prior projects having retiring debt service at that time. And the timing of how a project works in New York State with the design and the approval and construction construction, you really have to plan a couple years ahead, so the timing works well. That this vote this May, if approved, would align nicely with that drop-off in local share. So we use that as a starting point. You can see on the next slide, just kind of visually how that looks when we look through that. So again, this is that line going across the page is where your current local share is, and we can see that that's dropping off in 2030. So we have an opportunity to fill in some space there, and having no tax increase project just essentially replace the retiring debt with new debt. And how that works out and looks on the next slide, we have a maturity schedule, and John Sharkey's going to go through in a little bit the specific scope items, but basically the size project we could do with that retiring debt service is $8,345,000, which you can see right in the center of the page here. You see in columns C through H, that's where the new project comes into play in terms of the debt service and the aid we get back on that. And when we put the whole picture back together on the far right-hand side where the green shading is column I, you can see that that local share, when we add in this proposed $8.3 million project, stays nice and flat out into the future, so there's no increase in taxes needed to fund this project. We're essentially just replacing that retiring debt service with the new debt service and keeping everything nice and steady as it currently stands in the budget. And again, on the next page from here, you can see just the visual of how that all plays together. Again, the blue bars being your existing debt, and then the green bars coming into the new project that's proposed and staying right at that level across the page there where that current level of local share funding is. So this $8.3 million project that John will run through in a minute in terms of the scope associated with it can be done for no tax increase, no additional tax impact beyond what's already in the budget annually.
Good. Thank you very much, Jason.
Yeah, thanks,
Yep. Jason, if you can just hang in case we have questions at the end, then we'll wrap up.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to have John Sharkey come up. We'll talk about how, or actually what the scope is and how this is generated through our building condition survey. And then just the timeline of what's next and what we need to expect from here on out.
All right, thank you for your time tonight. I'm just going to go through to kind of a little bit of scope and schedule, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the budget. So at the MC Smith School, we're looking to do a few items here. Most of the items are taken from the district's building condition survey and the tours we did of the building with Tyler and staff just to see what needs to be done throughout the district. One of the items is replacing some deteriorated sidewalks at the MC Smith School. There's a few areas that need to be repaired. We looked at the tennis courts as well. The tennis courts right now, the sub base and the base of the tennis courts are in poor condition. We got some pricing to just recoat it, but all the recommendations from some people that came down, some specialists said that the base needs to be done. So we're looking to redo the top of the tennis courts as well as the base. Structural floor items up in the attic of various projects over the years. There's been a couple openings in the floor that need to get patched up and repaired for fire issues. We're also looking to replace 21 exterior doors that are at the end of the useful life. Their hardware is old. There's some original closers actually on some of the doors, and weather stripping, things like that that are going to help with the district as far as security and safety as well. We're going to re-shingle the 1997 wing roofs. That's the slope roofs on the side of the building there. They're past their warranty as well, so that should get done. We're going to replace some interior fire doors and hardware, same thing, some original, some hardware is older. In order to keep the fire rating, we need to replace those. We're looking also to replace the steam boilers that are in the building. Those are fairly old. I think one is not functioning right now, right? So we're looking to do those with more efficient, upgraded boilers. We're going to replace a few emergency lights throughout the district, throughout the building, and also add an emergency generator at that site. They have one here at the high school, but we don't have one down at the MC Smith School. We're also looking to renovate 6 toilet rooms. So again, some original rooms. The district's doing a great job with Island's crew updating and trying to keep them going, but they need to be refurbished. We're also going to replace a 1,000-gallon diesel gasoline tank with new tanks. And then there's an existing salt shed there that's being used, but it's a small building. It's tough to get in that area where the salt and additional storage was requested. So we're looking to do that. So at the middle school, or at the MC Smith School site, the total cost there is $3,063,000 for all that work. Okay, high school, junior high school, some of the same types of things, some sidewalk replacements. There's an exterior wall back behind the high school that some new equipment was put in years ago that the wall around it needs to be repaired, so we're going to take care of that. Again, some exterior doors that need replacement. Their original hardware is failing. We're also looking to infill some of the glass corridors in the old part of the high school for safety and isolation there. The gymnasium acoustic wall panels are failing in some of the areas, so we're going to look to replace that with Tectum, which is a more durable material, kind of like what we have at the elementary gym. Again, replace some carpeting in the original building. That's original carpeting, believe it or not. Interior doors, same thing. Some old doors and openings need to be replaced. And then the swimming pool system, a few years ago, we redid the equipment in the swimming pool, but the piping from in the crawl spaces into the pool itself was not accessible, and some of it's leaking, so we're going to look to finish that job to connect the new equipment into the swimming pool, retile the pool, and then redo the ceiling and the lighting in there to make it a modern facility. Again, we have 6 toilet rooms at this facility that we're looking to upgrade. We also have an alternate in the project to replace the auditorium seating. If you've been in there, it's the original seating, I believe. Again, it's squeaky and it's hard to get parts because some of the seating is very old. But we do have it in there as an alternate in the project that the district will decide at bid time whether they want to have that scoping or out of the project. The intent is to sand and restripe the gymnasium floor, and then replace the classroom partitions in the old part of the building. There's folding partitions between the classrooms that are, again, original to the building, and the hardware is failing. It's tough to get a good seal on it. Some of the partitions don't even work, so we're going to go in there and replace those. And then on this site, we're also looking to do a 24 by 40 foot a shared building for athletics and storage for the building. There's a deficit of storage here, and there's a lot of equipment, obviously, within the facility, and building storage, so we're looking to do that on the site. So the total for that work at this school would be $2,979,000, which brings the construction cost to $6,042,000. And then we added an escalation. This is before the tariff issues, but I think we're still safe. We added an escalation cost of 5%, and then so that brings the construction cost with the escalation up to $6,344,100. And then on top of that, we have to add 22% for incidental costs. That's required by the state education department. That's basically for design, for any district fees, attorney's fees, anything like that related to the project, and hazardous material testing, things like that, things that come up in the project. You have to have that in there. And then there's DASNY and capitalized interest, which is also a financial vehicle for the district being able to go out and get support the funding on the project. So the total project cost is $8,345,000, which Jason had mentioned was the limit that we could go up to for a no tax impact to the district. So we're just at that number right now.
That's just some more pictures.
Okay, yeah, so this is just more showing kind of more of the scope where we're looking to repair some of the sidewalk areas, the pool work. We talked about most of the scope there. It was just some pictures to get a good look at what's going on. And then project schedule, we've pretty much gone through a bunch of these items. We've already done the state environmental quality review. Everything worked out well there. The resolution to go to a vote was approved, and right now we're in the public informational meeting section. Vote date's May 20th. If a successful vote happens, then the construction documents, the specs on our end would start in June right away to try to get out to SED as soon as possible. They're still at, I believe, I think they're at 22-week review time, so the sooner you get up there, the better. And then the anticipated start of construction would be June of 2026. We're hoping we'd be able to do it all in one summer, but we'll have to look at the scheduling to see if it needs to get done over 2 summers. And we talked about the project budget, and I think that's about it, unless anybody has any questions on the scope or schedule.
Is there a copy of this somewhere we can get?
Yes. Do you want to come up here and say that, just so everybody else can hear you on the stream?
Really? I said, is there a copy of this that we can get? Because we cannot read that from back there. And I'm sure nobody online can read that. And also, is there a cost, because I could not hear the man that was talking before this, is there a cost to the taxpayers for any of this?
No. No, this is all, oh, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, but I was just saying, there's no tax increase, it's basically just replacing retiring debt, so there's, it's funded through at the same levels that the current annual capital, or current annual budget is funded at.
So what you're saying is there's right now we're paying so much for the last one? Is that what
Correct.
you're saying, and that's gonna end, so instead of us stuff going down, it's gonna stay the same?
Correct.
Correct.
There'll be no additional tax impact.
Right, but it's not going down, we're gonna have to go stay the same.
Correct. All right, so that brings us to the EPC part of the presentation now. I'll bring up Justin and John to speak about this. And just, if you have any other questions, we just ask you to come up to the microphone so that everybody at home who is streaming it can hear your questions as well.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Justin Benoit. I am the Director of Project Delivery for Energia. We are working with Johnson Controls, and this is Kieran Moran joining me from Johnson Controls with the district on an energy performance contract opportunity. I'll start out kind of just explaining what that is. I'll introduce my company as well, and then I'll pass it over to Kieran to share some insight into the project scope and financials, and a little bit of the timeline as well. Firstly, just a quick introduction to Energia. We are an engineering and energy consulting firm. We specialize in helping school districts in these exact types of projects. So we've been involved in over 140 successful energy performance contract projects. Again, I'll explain a little bit more about what that means, but similar to Mr. Sharkey serving as the district's architect and helping to manage and design your capital projects, Energia serves in a similar capacity when we're helping school districts with energy performance contracts. So again, we would help with development of the project, but also with the design, oversee of construction, and then also validation of the energy savings, which is a critical component here. And again, I'll touch on that more in a second here. So to explain a little bit about what an energy performance contract is, it's a lot of words here, but I think the simplest way to describe it is that this is a self-funding facility improvement project that is focused on energy savings. And so as part of this project, we're really looking to maximize the amount of energy efficiency that we could drive within the school buildings, and then therefore allow the district to use the energy savings that are generated from those improvements as the funding source for the project itself. So again, similar to the capital project as was discussed, not having any impact on the taxpayers, this would be a similar scenario because the funding source again is energy savings that are generated from the project itself. A couple important things maybe to note. The first line on there, it might be a little bit small for everyone in the room. That really just references the New York State law associated with performance contracting. So it's not a concept that Energia invented by any means. It's something that was actually started by the federal government about 40 years ago, and now each state has their own legislation authorizing schools and municipalities to undertake these types of projects. Something, maybe the most critical aspect here of these projects is that, again, because the energy savings serve as the funding source, those energy savings are required to be guaranteed to you. And in this case, Johnson Controls serving as the contractor responsible for implementation of the project, they're contractually obligated to meet the guaranteed energy savings value that they're committing to the district. If there is any shortfall, if the energy savings don't come to fruition, they will be obligated to make the district whole for the difference. So again, leveraging it as a funding source is a great way to get needed facility improvements done while also maximizing energy efficiency throughout your school buildings. This chart kind of summarizes a little bit of what I was just explaining as far as the project itself from a financing perspective. So the column there on the left kind of represents what your current energy budget is. So this is what you're paying today for gas, electric, oil, etc. And for the future, this is really what you would continue to pay. And of course, there's escalation and everything like that, but you know that is the current energy budget. As part of the project, and that's really what this middle column represents, we're able to drive improvements that reduce what that energy budget is, resulting in your new energy budget. And then from the balance, the difference between what your new energy budget is versus what your current energy budget is, you're able to make debt service payments for the cost of financing the project. And in addition, any additional savings, there's also rebates, grants, incentives that are part of this program as well. Anything that's additional beyond what's needed to make the debt service payment comes back to the district in the form of positive cash flow. And so we always say, or we like to say, that these projects are budget neutral, but in fact, and Kieran will share a little bit more about this, these projects are actually very often, and as is the case in Hudson City, actually a net positive endeavor for the district to undertake. There will be a net positive cash flow every single year throughout the term of the project. Just by implementing the upgrades and again taking advantage of some rebates, grants, state aid as well, all of that coming back to the district will exceed what your annual debt service payment would be. So with that kind of last slide before I maybe open it up to questions and then pass it over to Kieran, just to recap some of the activity to date that's kind of gotten us to this point. Energy has been engaged with the district for about a year now, working to identify what kind of opportunities are present, how we can maximize energy savings to help fund needed improvements within the schools. As a result of that kind of initial process, we ultimately helped the district to issue a request for proposals to get different responses from different energy services companies or contractors, again, that would be responsible for implementing the project and guaranteeing the savings. And in response to that RFP, we actually received 4 proposals, which was a tremendous response, a lot of interest, and a good opportunity for the district to get the most value out of this opportunity. And then we conducted interviews, we had an in-depth evaluation process that involved several district stakeholders, the board, facilities committee as well. And ultimately, it's a little bit dated, but a couple of weeks ago now, we went to the board to seek approval for Johnson Controls to be selected as the winner of the RFP contest. And really what that allowed us to do, and it was actually Friday where we kind of had a kickoff meeting for this next step. Now is really a time that we call the comprehensive energy audit, which is really where Johnson is able to work closely with Energy and the district, not as a competing bidder, responding to an RFP, but as a partner, really to hone the scope of work, to finalize the savings calculations, and make sure that the project is best aligned with what the district's looking to accomplish. So there is a little bit of a process here where we can consider additional things that weren't included originally as part of their RFP response. We could work to better collaborate with the capital project as well, really drive home all of the needs that exist in the buildings and look to fund those through energy savings. And so that's where we're at today. And of course wanted to come present this evening as well to let everybody know. The only other thing that I'll add again before I turn it over to Kieran, another reason why we're here tonight, we're also going to be seeking as part of your May budget vote, along with the proposition associated with the capital project, there will be another proposition associated with the energy performance contract project. I do want to note again, these projects are entirely self-funding. Really the only benefit that the voter proposition will allow is that it will allow the district to get an additional 10% state aid on this project. And so, similar to a capital bond project, these projects are eligible for state aid. Voter approval is not typically required, and so because of that, the state gives what I'll call a 10% haircut on the overall project, because you're not typically going after voter approval. Now, if you do get the support of the voters, and their engagement in the project, you're eligible for that additional 10% aid back. And so really a great opportunity again for what is already a self-funding net positive cash flow project to get even more financially attractive for the district, because again, the state would pay an additional 10% aid on the overall economics of the project. So I know that was a lot. Any questions about anything that I touched on so far? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. My name is Kieran Moran from Johnson Controls. I'm going to walk you through the 15 energy conservation measures that we have slated so far for the energy performance contract. I'm going to skip a couple of these. That's my team introduction. We responded to the RFP, as Justin said, and very thankful that we were selected as the winning ESCO. We're now in what we call the comprehensive energy audit stage. So we're doing our homework with the district, with Tyler and his staff over the next 2 months to finalize this project and the measures that will go into it. So this is what we've identified at the start, and we'll work through these over the next 2 months. Really, we looked at your aging heating systems, particularly in high school, and also an opportunity to buy out your solar assets, which are on the back of this building. So you will see that as we go through this, some of these slides will indicate what that is. So we have 15 energy conservation measures. It's required by state education department that we hit an 18-year simple payback or better. So that is the law, and so we have to stay under that mark. Justin did talk about a positive cash flow coming back to the school. So this project, the way it is set up today, will drive $2.3 million back to the school district over the next 18 years. So again, many school districts like yourself find these energy performance contracts attractive because of that. We have an $8 million project cost. Your annual energy savings are $425,000 a year, again guaranteed by Johnson Controls contractually to the school district to achieve those. If we do not achieve that number, we are obligated by contract to write what we call a shortfall check to the school to make them whole on that 424. Again, your 58.5% building aid is applicable for EPC, so very nice that the state is going to fund nearly 60% of this project through building aid. There are rebates that will come back to the district to the tune of $390,000. Again, those are from the utilities, but Johnson Controls has to back those up. So if the utility changes the program, Johnson Controls is on the hook for the $390. If the utility only gives you $300, we got to write the $90,000. So again, there is an Inflation Reduction Act that makes up part of that, $125,000 NYSERDA Flex Tech, and then a National Grid rebate that totals that $390. That's kind of the overview. I'm going to walk you quickly through the measures. We talked about your power purchase agreement buyout on the system behind the high school here. You are in year 8 currently, and we are looking in 2026 to buy that out at $1.2 million. What that does is it then eliminates all of those PPA costs. I know the chart is very small. Hopefully when you download it, you can see it. But every year the district in 2026 is required to pay $139,000 for that PPA. That escalates up to $159,000 in year 2035. By the district buying that out, they no longer have to pay those PPA costs. So that is a tremendous savings for the school district. We looked at replacement of the high school boilers installed in 1969 here at Cleaver Brooks. As you can see, we're going to do a full boiler replacement of that plant, elimination of steam, which is tremendous, install high efficiency hot water condensing boilers, and also a 125 cogen unit to offset electricity, also producing some heat that you could use on your heating loads in the building, the pool, and your domestic hot water. Annual energy savings on this one, I think it's about, it's blocking it there, I think it's $185,000 a year. We're also going to look at the elementary school to add rooftop solar. It'd save about $28,000 a year on a rooftop solar on the flat roofs only, so you will not see this from street level at all. Okay. We then have, these are the remaining measures, again, that we will go through detail this summer, but we have LED lighting upgrades, some building envelope improvements on insulation, energy management system upgrades, boiler controllers, domestic hot water replacements, computer power management. So this is a software that will shut the computers off throughout the district in the evening hours or when there is no weekend classes. Rooftop unit replacement, AC compressor controls, and 2 energy efficient transformers. So all of these measures on this slide total $148,000 in annual savings with an 11-year simple payback. So good measures that help support some of the other ones. Getting to the end, I talked about positive cash flow, so you can see these 2 columns here. In year 1, the net cash flow back to the district is a positive $423,000. So that is after paying off your principal and interest payments of $696. So the district will have to repay for 15 years, but the energy savings plus the PPA buyout savings plus the aid that I talked about that comes back and the rebates outperforms the tax exempt lease. So all of this work gets done really at no cost or additional cost for the school district and does drive positive cash flow. When we look at it over the full term of the contract, as I talked about earlier, it'll drive $2.3 million over its life back to the school district by improving all of those measures. This is a STEM program that we will work with the district to teach the children about what we're doing through this particular project, so I think that's an important component. And then onto the schedule. As I talked about earlier, we're really in the comprehensive energy audit, which should conclude in July, and then in August look to execute an energy performance contract. We then go to the state education department for permits and are really targeting July of 2026, same with the bond, for installation, and that'll run through November of 2027. Final sign off in December of 2027. That is my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, we'll take them now. If not, that will conclude our presentation for the Capitol and the APC. Next up will be Dr. Pennington and Ms. Sperry for their regular budget. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Ms. Ferry and I are here tonight to give you a presentation and take a little bit of a deeper dive into the budget, the proposed budget. Thank you for coming, and for those watching, thank you for joining us. The vision of our district emphasizes creating an inclusive learning environment that values the diverse passions, cultures, and talents of our students. It highlights a commitment from students, staff, and the community to learn, explore, and to achieve collectively. Our vision emphasizes inclusivity and motivation for all students to reach their highest potential as Blue Hawks and in their future endeavors. Our budget is comprised of the mission, vision, the foundations is the vision, the mission, and our 6 keys to success. The first key has to do with strengthening leadership capacity. This involves enhancing the skills and effectiveness of all the school leaders and administrators in guiding, teaching, and learning practices, and by providing professional development and support. The instructional leaders can better influence our curriculum, our instruction, and assessment to improve our student outcomes. Strengthening the instructional core, this focuses on improving the interactions between teachers, students, and content. We do this by ensuring that all 3 elements are effectively aligned and supported. Schools can then better create learning experiences and outcomes for our students. The next key is to improve data-driven practices. What does this mean? It means to utilize data to inform decision-making in schools. Educators and administrators, they can then analyze student performance data to identify strengths and areas for improvement, and then it allows them to tailor the instruction and interventions to meet the needs of all students. Promote a positive, inclusive environment for all stakeholders. This means to foster a school culture that values and ensures that every student, staff member, and parent feels welcome and supported. A positive environment that enhances student engagement and collaboration among all community members. To increase monitoring and accountability, this involves implementing systems that regularly assess progress and hold educators and students accountable for performance. We do this by setting clear expectations and monitoring outcomes. This allows our school to ensure that all stakeholders are committed to improvement. Then we have our tiered approach to school support and intervention. This strategy provides many levels of supports based on the needs of students. For instance, some students may require intensive interventions, while others only need targeted support. The tiered system allows our schools to allocate resources effectively and help our students to succeed. These are 6 keys to success. Now, Ms. Ferry will speak about our 2025-26 budget.
Good evening. The 2025-26 proposed budget at a glance is to maintain general fund programs, create efficient systems of support. The total budget is $58,544,000. So here's our projected revenue. In order to create a balanced budget, there needs to be an increase in revenue to align with the increase in expenses. And again, the total revenue is $58,544,000 with a change of tax levy of 3.55%. With the increase in planned use of reserve, the reduction of vacant positions, and the reduction of services that are not being utilized, the budget supports the expenses without a reduction of force. So today I will introduce the line-by-line budget of proposed expenses. The budget code system is designed to organize spending into clear categories. These codes help the district plan, manage, and report financial activity in a consistent way. The 1000 series is for general support. It provides for the district's management, governance, and operation, including administrative staff, legal services, and facilities. It includes the Board of Education, Superintendent, and Central Administration, Finance, and Legal. I apologize for the size. I'm assuming people at home will be able to see this probably in a clearer way.
Is there somewhere to get a copy of it?
I don't have copies of this.
Is there someplace online to get a copy of it? I'm just saying, not just me, you don't want a copy of it, but there's gotta be someplace where you get a copy.
It's very forwarded to me and I'll do it.
These codes show the operations and maintenance with the increases in the amount of expenses by line. As we continue, these lines show the software, insurance dues, and BOCES admin capital, with the increase of expenses and the percentages. The 2000s, oh, I'm sorry. The 2000 series is for instruction. Its purpose is to direct instructional services and support to students, including teachers, curriculum development, and instructional resources. It includes curriculum and supervision, regular instruction, special education, career and tech, occupational ed, and instructional support services, such as library, media, instructional technology, and student services. The 5000 series is for student transportation. It includes costs related to transporting students to and from school and school-related activities. It includes in-district and out-of-district transportation. The 9000 series is for employee benefits. It captures the cost of employee benefits associated with retirement, Social Security, workers' comp, health, dental, and vision insurance. The 9700 series is for the debt service. It covers payments of principal and interest on long-term obligations such as bonds and notes. The 9900 series is for inter-fund transfers. Its purpose is to transfer from the general fund to other district funds. Thank you for your attentiveness. I apologize for the small fonts in this presentation. We have other presentations that we'll be showing over the next couple weeks, and we'll ensure to make sure that this is changed for viewing. We hope that through this presentation, there's a better understanding of how financial resources are organized and allocated. Together, through clear communication and informed participation, we can ensure that every dollar supports our mission of providing high-quality educational opportunities for all students. Thank you.